Which 3 watches would you take for a long weekend and a social event? Hi and welcome to Last Watch. With the easing of COVID restrictions, a few weeks ago I was able to play host to a significant family event, namely the christening of my grandson. Yes, it was a shock to me too. The occasion was a great opportunity to catch up with some of my closest and oldest friends that I hadn't seen for close to 2 years. One of those friends, who I will call Phil because that's his name, has a passion for watches that precedes my own. A passion, like many of us, which is only curtailed by a lack of disposable income. Phil was with me for 4 nights and he selected 3 watches from his modest collection to wear during his stay. Not wanting to waste the opportunity, I spent an hour between drinks one evening getting some footage of his threesome. This is by no means a review of any of the watches you're about to see. It's more of a relaxed, informal overview, a kind of show and tell and an explanation as to why he chose these particular watches for his visit. First up is from a brand that everyone loves to hate, and it's not Rolex. This is the Tag Heuer Link Chronograph reference CT 1110 BA05550. The tag is a quartz which comes with an ETA 251.262 27 dual movement. It's a Swiss-made watch with a 42mm diameter, 22mm lug width, 45.6mm lug to lug, and a case thickness of 13.2mm. Size for Phil's 7-inch-ish wrist, it weighs in at 162.6 grams. Something I should add is that Phil likes to wear his bracelets a little loose. I prefer to wear mine quite tight, so slipping the tag on my wrist was an easy affair. The CT 1110 has a royal blue dial, 3 sub-registers for the chronograph function, a red-tipped arrow hand with red-tipped tail for the chronograph second hand, a bald handset which is loomed, applied silver baton indices and additional painted loom hour markers. Apologies for the lack of a loom shot, but we had 2 rather large glasses of Glenlivet waiting for us with the remaining guests away from the bright lights of my studio. The tag also has a date window at the 4 o'clock position, which shows black Arabics on a white date wheel. You may notice, due to the lateness of the hour, it's in the process of a date change. The dial is topped off with a slightly domed sapphire crystal, and the watch has 200 meters of water resistance. The case and bracelet, as you would expect, is an all 316L stainless steel construction. The bracelet is a solid affair derived from the SEL bracelet, the sports elegance range which originated in the 1990s. They later simplified its name to Link. The links of the Link are described as having a unique ingot shape which supposedly makes it very comfortable to wear. The bracelet has a branded milled clasp. Now it's plain to see from the pictures that Phil has not babied this watch. That would be an understatement. By his reckoning, he bought the tag new some 15 years ago. I suspect it may have been a little longer. It's been a daily wear for him, and it's seen some action. Pretty sure it got hit by a flying car at one point, but that's a story for another day. He confirmed that he'd given it a good clean before he journeyed up to Scotland, and apart from the occasional battery change, the watch has pretty much taken care of itself. I pulled his leg a little as the unidirectional stainless steel rotating bezel is by far the stiffest I have come across on any watch. Turns out Phil can't even remember the last time he turned it, as he's had no reason to do so. I question his watch passion here. I mean, who doesn't like to play with their rotating bezels? I'm kind of glad that Phil brought his tag with him. It saved me the trouble of asking him to do so. You see, the Tag Heuer CT 1110 is a special watch, and not just because it's the watch that Matt Damon wore as Jason Bourne in The Bourne Identity. Apart from being a star on the big screen, it also played a cameo role on my wedding day. I got married in 2017, and due to 20 plus years training in martial arts, I'd got into the habit of not wearing jewellery and watches. It was only after choosing to wear a wedding ring that I decided to wear a watch again, and I soon fell down the rabbit hole of collecting. So there I was, waiting for my bride to walk down the aisle, and the photographer asked me to look pensively at my watch. I didn't have one. Phil, who just happened to be my best man, offered his tag for the photo opportunity. Thanks, Phil, the tag saved the day. I'm not entirely sure why they get such a hard time in the watch community. The second watch in Phil's trio is a bit of a departure from the other two, as it's the only non-Swiss brand on the table. This is the W Carnival. Whatever you do, please don't confuse that branding with IWC Schaffhausen, as I'm sure that wasn't the intention. Who am I kidding? Phil, as it turns out, is a subscriber to the channel, which segues quite neatly into me asking, if you haven't already done so, to please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notifications button. I'd hate for you to miss out on any of my future content. Job done. Phil was inspired by one of my many videos to check out Aliexpress. He was looking for an affordable dress watch, and after some considerable trawling, he found a very attractive offering which ticked all his boxes. The Carnival has a 41.9mm diameter, 20mm lug width, a 48.8mm lug to lug, and a case thickness of 12.3mm. It came in a gift-wrapped box with 2 leather straps and weighs in on this black option at only 66.3 grams. The Carnival comes in a choice of 6 different Starburst dial colours: black, white, blue, green, red if you're bold enough, and this very fetching grey. It is a classic minimalist layout with applied silver wedges at the 12, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock positions. A black printed chapter ring with bolder strikes stretching from the outer dial for the remaining hours that match the length of the applied indices. It has a very stylish polished silver Dauphine handset with a contrasting orange seconds hand, and comes with a day-date complication, which I know is a must for some, but I would happily live without. It has a comfortable all-polished stainless steel case and an onion-style crown with a quick-set facility, and a tinted display case back that makes it somewhat difficult to see the Miyota 8205 movement within. The Miyota is an automatic that doesn't hack, but does hand wind. It has 21 joules, a power reserve of 42 hours, and beats at 21,600 ticks an hour, or 6 ticks a second. It's rated for accuracy between -20 and +40 seconds per day. Sadly, I can't confirm the accuracy of this particular movement. It was a short visit, and I've already mentioned the whiskey. The Carnival has a 3-bar water resistance, which is okay for a dress piece, and is sold as having a sapphire crystal. It doesn't. I tested the crystal, there was no trace of sapphire glass. Excusing this faux pas by I&W, the Carnival is an attractive dress watch, which could be an alternative to the Orient Bambino at less than half the price, coming in at around £61, $80 or €70. If it wasn't for the day-date window, I'd snap one up in an instant for my own collection. For those that are interested, I'll add an affiliate link in the video description below. They say leave the best till last, and that may well be the case with the final watch out of the 3. This is the Omega Geneve reference BL1315016, a vintage piece from 1969 in 9-carat yellow gold. This was Phil's dad's watch that he wore daily for nearly 20 years before his untimely death when Phil was still in his teens. By modern standards, the Omega is tiny. It has a diameter of 33.6mm, a curious lug width of 17.7mm, a lug to lug of 37.7mm, and a case thickness of only 8.8mm. Remarkable when you take into account that the crystal accounts for around half of that thickness. All in on the nippy bracelet, it's a flyweight at just over 46 grams. The Omega is a little charmer with a champagne dial with gilt baton hour markers and handset. The movement that powers this classic Swiss watch is the Omega Caliber 601, a manual winder with 17 joules, a power reserve of 48 hours and a beat rate of 19,800 an hour. I did find the time to test its accuracy, and the Geneve is running at plus 15 seconds per day. Not bad for a watch that hasn't been serviced since the late 1980s. Phil, as you can imagine, absolutely treasures this watch. It's stored for the most part in its original Omega packaging with its authentic paperwork and guarantee. That's how I was able to date it so precisely. He wears it rarely and on special occasions. One of those occasions being on his wedding day a couple of years ago, at which I was his best man. Coincidentally, I was also wearing an Omega, the Railmaster. I think Phil's Omega could do with a little TLC. He's pretty sure the crystal was replaced before his dad passed away, and that the bracelet was also swapped out at some point. I was hoping to treat Phil to a suitable leather strap for the Geneve, but then I noticed that curious lug width of 17.7mm, and even accounting for my wayward calipers, I suspect that the lugs may have either taken a knock or had a slight tweak to fit the replacement bracelet. I decided to leave the vintage spring bars well alone, and there was no way I was going to risk damaging those lugs on such a beloved watch. I would suggest that Phil treats his father's Omega to a long overdue service, which I believe is fairly straightforward and pretty affordable for a 601 movement. If any of my viewers know a trustworthy jeweller or service centre in the North Yorkshire area, then feel free to email me or leave a comment for Phil below. Many thanks to Phil for letting me loose on what is a pretty well-rounded 3-watch collection. A rock-solid sports chronograph for daily wear, an affordable dress piece for a semi-formal outing, and a hard-to-beat vintage beauty for that special occasion. My videos are usually reviews crammed with specs about topical watches. It was a nice departure and quite refreshing just to share some watches and tell their story. Every watch should have a story. Dare I ask which of the trio was your favourite? I suspect the Omega may come top. Be respectful with your comments and give some thought as to which 3 watches in your collection you would choose for a weekend of partying and celebration. Or maybe you just have that one special watch that does it all. Let me know why. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.